This is Adventure for Life. I'm Joel. Welcome to day 23 of the Grenadier 15,000 mile plus cross country trek. And it dawned on me that the name needs to be changed to the Cross Countries Trek, since I drove from Key West, Florida to Dead Horse, Alaska, and now I'm driving all the way across Canada. When I say all the way across Canada, I'm actually leaving Canada in Montreal. I'm not going to Newfoundland. I'm not going to Nova Scotia. I'm not going to Prince Edward Island. Anyway, so we spent the night last night in Winnipeg, Manitoba, and left this morning and pretty quickly entered Ontario. And I was thinking that, hey, there may not be much to video in Ontario, because when we first pulled into Ontario, it was still the same kind of agricultural area. Well, it quickly turned into lake after lake after lake after lake after lake, and very, trees, very rocky, very rugged kind of territory. And I'll get to these signs in a second. But you can see the rock there on the side of the lake. Again, there's been, I can't go with hundreds, but there's been a bunch of lakes like this, and again, very rocky territory. Why have I not pulled over? Well, apparently the Ontarians don't believe in scenic pullouts and places to, view the natural beauty that they have, because we've seen some really pretty places from the road, but just absolutely no way to get off the road to video them or to show them to you. And in fact, the few pullouts that they've had have been, it's like they chose the least desirable places to choose to do it. Anyway, why did we pull out here? Well, it turns out this is Feist Lake. And let me spell Feist for you. F-E-I-S-T Lake, as it says right there. And this sign says, on June 19th of 1882, the last spike was driven just south of here near Feist Lake for the Canadian Transcontinental Railroad. So they obviously needed, just like the United States, needed a way to get people and product from one side of the country to the other. And it was not far from here that that last spike was driven. And at least per the sign, it was a female, the daughter of one of the people that was instrumental in getting this railroad built, that drove that last spike. Okay, well, hopefully we'll see some other stuff along the way. We're headed to the town of Vermilion Bay, which would indicate more water, and spending the night in Thunder Bay, which would indicate even more water. Okay, well, welcome to Vermilion Bay, Ontario. It's turned out, as we've moved, we were talking earlier about how as we move from the west to the east, it's clear that the population density is growing. But since we've gotten into Ontario, and especially this more rugged area, it's a remote place. It's almost like we just now got gas at this place here, and Johnny's or Bobby's is what it was called, and there hasn't been a gas stop in at least 50 miles, and I don't know how long it'll be till the next. But why did I stop here? Because there we have it, the sign for Vermilion Bay, and the world's largest rock statue. Actually, it's not, but I just made that up, obviously, to be funny. But we saw this thing, and who knows what in the world that's supposed to be. But it was unusual, it was unique, and there hasn't been a whole lot. Although, again, this has been beautiful country, rugged, You know, I was surprised that it got rugged again after we went through the plains area, but it's been really pretty country, just not many places to pull over and show you what it's like. It appears Vermilion Bay also has the world's largest Aboriginal person. I have no idea what that's supposed to be, but it is some kind of person who wants to cover their private parts and give us the thumbs up. So it turns out Vermilion Bay's population is 971 people, and there's not a restaurant that we could find. We got some gas, but it's one of the larger towns on this path that we've been going this morning for the last 100 or so miles. But they do have a statue of some Indian person, and then they have a totem pole. Now, I should have seen a totem pole in Alaska, but here we are with our first totem pole sighting, and it's in Vermilion Bay, Ontario. By the way, Ontario is and we're at the Moose Creek Trading Company, not the Moose Creek Apartments, the Moose Creek Trading Company. Ontario, the capital of Canada, is in Ontario. It's Ottawa. And anyway, there's just this is very, very remote, surprisingly remote. Okay, it's the end of the day. We're in Thunder Bay, Ontario. I've videoed very little for the reasons that I mentioned earlier. We did hit a milestone today, another milestone, which is 24:45, and I started at 6:4:59, so that means we're at the 14,000 mile point. Anyway, we're gonna be in Ontario all day tomorrow, so I'm just gonna combine tomorrow's with today's videos, and we'll see if we can't put something together. Again, it was beautiful across Ontario, but there just weren't places that we could pull out and look and see and do and whatever, or certainly not drones, so it was basically all driving. So anyhow, some days are gonna be that way. See you tomorrow. Okay, this is a continuation of day 23. Again, we spent the night last night in Thunder Bay, Ontario. We're still in Ontario. And I told you I didn't take much video yesterday because there just weren't too many good opportunities, but here is one. So this is the north side of Lake Superior. So I'll do a 360 real quick. Now, I've been to the south side of Lake Superior before, but never to the north. So we are driving along the edge of Lake Superior, and have been for some time, but there haven't been any places to turn out here. But you know, so again, I'll give you a 360 here, and this is what we've been seeing really for the last 24 hours. There just have not been, again, really any good spots to turn out and take a video, and here is one. So we're headed to a national park called Pukasaw, something like that. I'll try to spell it next time I'm on, but it actually borders Lake Superior, so we'll have an opportunity to see what that park's all about and what kind of beauty there is there. Okay, so I earlier pronounced this park name Pukasqua, and our GPS pronounced it Pukasqua. But I'm guessing this is one of those U is oo and A is aw kind of things. So it's probably Pukasqua. Anyway, this is the entry to it, another national park. It's on the border, again, of Lake Superior. So hopefully it's supposed to have some nice overviews and whatnot. Lots of rivers in this area. Really, really, really beautiful. There I go with the really word again. Really, really, really beautiful area. Lots of pretty trees. So it's been a very pleasant drive this morning. Okay, we're at the visitor center, and none of those pronunciations I gave you earlier were correct. It is Pukasaw. I verified that with the person who took our money and with the pamphlet showing the exact pronunciation. The second K is silent. Anyway, so that's number one. Number two is you're driving a Grenadier and you kind of think you're in a manly vehicle. And then you pull up next to this. and you realize you're actually a wimp. That right there is a man's vehicle. And oh, I didn't even mean that to be a pun, but it was a pun because it's a man. Anyway, got a nice little dinosaur stuffed toy in there. So anyway, I don't know where these people are from, but I do know that they can go about anywhere they want to in that thing. Wow. At first I thought, oh, that's a Unimog, but no, that is a man. That is one serious vehicle. And based on what I see, I assume these people are French. Les Fripoles in Badrouville, something like that, whatever that means. By the way, I'm not exactly sure how many people it takes to get that spare tire down. That would be serious work, but I have taken note that they are not parking it over here at the electrical recharging stations. Okay, as luck would have it, I had the opportunity to meet the people that owned and were driving the man vehicle. And as I surmised, they were from France. In fact, they were from Lyon. And they had bought that man vehicle in 2021. And the husband had the skill to renovate the thing and get it set up for long distance travel. And so he did that, and sometime not too long ago, they shipped the unit from Belgium to Halifax in Nova Scotia. And they said it took 13 days for it to get there. I assume they flew over. Why they shipped it from Belgium and not from France, I don't know. It doesn't really matter. Anyway, they were nice enough to answer my questions for them, and so their plan is to drive all the way across Canada and visit all the national parks in Canada. I asked them if they're going up to Alaska, and they said no, for whatever reason. That wasn't on their list. Once they finished Canada, it was husband and wife and their 2 boys, and the boys appeared to be 5, 6, 7 years old, something like that. Anyway, from Canada, they're going to go down through Yellowstone, Grand Canyon, some other stuff in the United States, planned on going to Baja California. And then from there, they're going down through Central America. And when you get to the southern part of Panama, and I'm not exactly sure where it is, but the road actually ends, and you cannot travel by land from Panama into Colombia. You have to ship whatever it is you have. So they're going to put it on a boat, ship it around. I'm sure they're going to get on the same boat to Colombia, and then go on from there and go all the way to Patagonia. And their plan is for this entire trip to take about 2 years. So wow, what an incredible trip they're doing. Makes my 6-week trip look like nothing, and obviously makes my Grenadier look like nothing next to the man vehicle. Anyway, they did mention that they move very slowly. As you can imagine, that is not a high-speed vehicle. I can't imagine that thing goes more than 55 or 60 miles an hour. It's an industrial kind of vehicle that's been, converted for the purposes that they have. So anyway, they're probably traveling 45, 50, 55 miles an hour. And again, the thing gets terrible gas mileage. And they said because of that, the slower they go, the better gas mileage it gets. And it just eats fuel like crazy. Probably gets 6, 7, 8 miles to the gallon would be my guess. Anyway, pretty incredible story, and it reminded me of when I was in Big Cypress in Florida, and I was looking at the 4 alligators, and I pulled up next to a vehicle, and the people in that vehicle, and it was an RV type thing that had probably been converted or customized or whatever. They were going from Argentina. They were going from Argentina to Dead Horse was their plan. So anyway, it's just interesting and to me exciting that there are people out there, kind of throwing caution to the wind and just going. And, to enjoy life and enjoy what God's, put here on this earth for us to see. Okay, so it turns out this park is relatively small too, and it's 20 miles by 30 miles, which I guess that's big, but it's really pretty limited. So there's the visitor center, and then this is what you see, and the road ends at the visitor center. So you don't drive out to some scenic lookout or whatever it is. You rent canoes over there and you go for a little walk. So we're going to go for a little walk and hopefully see Lake Superior. Okay, you may be able to hear me breathing a little bit hard, but this is Scenic Overlook number 1 and the requisite 360. And this is supposedly like a 10-mile walk to this overlook. And again, there's, from what we saw, there's maybe as much as 30 miles of hiking trails in here. It's just that most of it is only accessible by foot. So we've gone a little further. There again is the visitor center, and here is the view, and it is, you know, spectacular. Very pretty view. There is the mouth of this inlet out to Lake Superior, and then the rest of the 360 back to the visitor center. So I'm going to go a little bit farther this away and see if there's anything else up there to see. So here's the side of the bay that we were looking at, and again there's the mouth into Lake Superior, and then you get a little bit of a view over to this side. Oh yeah, you can actually see the lake there and the point. Oh, that's beautiful. And then the trees around. So again, we have been seeing, not this spectacular, but you know, the trees and the rocks and the, you know, the hills and whatnot this entire day and most of yesterday. Again, there just were not, the Canadians didn't see fit to build spots where it was easy to turn out and take a video, take a picture, whatnot. Wow, what a beautiful view over there. And obviously I'd love to walk over there, and maybe that's part of where the 30-mile hike goes, but that's more than we got time for today. So just saw a sign with a couple of facts about Lake Superior that I'd pass on. First is it's, and you probably knew this, largest lake in the world. Not just freshwater lake, but largest lake. And second of all, it holds 1/10 of the world's fresh water. So that's pretty amazing. Okay, so there's Lake Superior in the distance. I am in the town of Wawa, W-A-W-A, not Wawa, but Wawa, Ontario. And what should we find in the town of Wawa, Ontario, but the world's largest Canadian goose? There it is, the world's largest Canadian goose. Now I'm making that up, but it probably is. And this is some kind of important city on the Trans-Canada Highway, and this is part of the commemoration of their participation in the Trans-Canada Highway. Is, I guess, the traveling Canadian goose. So you can kind of get an idea of how big it is based on the Canadian flag over to the left. By the way, the entry fee into Pukaswa, if that's how it was pronounced, I can't remember now, but was $13.50 Canadian, so about $10. It's, you know, it's different. The national parks up here are just much smaller, and of course Canada is dramatically larger than the United States from a geographical area standpoint, but for whatever reason the national parks, at least the ones we've been to, have been quite small and quite narrow in scope. And Canada's got tremendous natural beauty, as we've seen over the last 5 days that we've been driving across Canada, and then the 5 days that I drove across it, or 4 days that I drove across it before then. But anyway, there you can see in the distance, if you can see in the distance, right there is the sign for the town of Wawa. Okay, this little monument here and this little plaque says there's been 100 years of gold mining in Michipicoten, which is this general area. So Wawa has got gold mining too. By the way, I found out that the reason for the goose is that the word Wawa, the word Wawa is in the language of some Native American tribe, the word for wild goose. And here's the commemoration of their mining history. Okay, that's it for Wawa. Okay, maybe this is the world's largest goose. So you can kind of compare sizes there, but they also have, and now I know what this thing is, an Inukshuk, which is I'm reading the sign, stone monument erected in the image of humans. One of their purposes was to communicate direction in the harsh and desolate Arctic. So the Inuit people were helping not only themselves, but other travelers who might have been in this area. So you remember I had one on the video, maybe earlier today, or I think it was yesterday, but on today's video. All right, so we have reached Timmins, Ontario. It's a town of about 40,000 people. Honestly, we came in the dark, and it wasn't the nicest looking town. We got to a town called Chapleau or something like that, Chapleau, and I got to meet a very nice young lady in a blue uniform. The speed limits in Canada, sometimes we complain about the speed limits in the United States being too low. Well, the ones in Canada are just ridiculous. I mean, it's just absolutely ridiculous, the posted speed limit. I'm going to say this, no one drives them, and the few people that are driving those speed limits are getting passed like crazy. But there are a lot more conservative drivers here than there are in the United States. Anyway, so I got a ticket. Having said that, I was going 110 kilometers an hour in an 80 kilometers per hour speed zone, and the lady was nice enough. She said that was a $200 Canadian fine, but she changed it to be 85 kilometers per hour in an 80 kilometer per hour speed zone. So it was a $27 Canadian fine. So I'll be paying about $20 US for that ticket. The lady was very nice, very pleasant. Anyway, good day in Ontario again, and just really, and I know I said this several times in the other videos, but the other clips, it was rugged beauty, more refined than what the beauty that was in British Columbia. Lots and lots and lots of lakes and rivers just everywhere. The trees were just everywhere, beautiful. And then you had Lake Superior on top of that, and so it really was just an enjoyable drive. Unfortunately, there just weren't many places to kind of stop and take it in, and I said that several times in the other videos, and you can see that from the video clips that we showed. Anyway, tomorrow driving on to Montreal, and we'll see what that has in store. So this is the end of day 23 of the Grenadier 15,000 plus mile cross countries trek. See you tomorrow.